people of Nigeria have a lot to say about why the country is not living up to its full potential as an oil-rich African giant, gifted with enterprising people. One of them is the broadcaster Funmi Iyanda. She's been grappling with a single question: how do you fix Nigeria? To get answers, Funmi crisscrossed the country and began a how-to series of events to try to find practical solutions to Nigeria's contemporary problems. In London for the South Bank Centre's Africa Utopia Festival, she told Kim Chakanetsa about her travels.
Oh my gosh, it wasn't just the stories they were telling me, it was the stories I was experiencing there. Many times we ran into area boys and militants. One of the things that struck me was oftentimes they were very antagonistic. Sometimes we were almost short. And a few times after we've sat down with them and actually began to talk about how they got to where they were, I felt shame. I could understand. I saw the transformation oftentimes from really dangerous individuals to young people who were lost. And I thought that this wasn't, we can't continue this way. There was a story of somebody called Cross and Die, who was an armed robber, rapist, by his confession, militant, and so on and so forth, reformed, and he was high on drugs. It was at Bonny Camp. I've never forgotten him because he told the story of how he came from this young mixed-race boy, which was another level that we normally don't even look at, all the different cultural and ethnic and color identity within Nigeria, because he was half Indian and half Nigerian, and there were many of them like that I found there. And because they were men, that part of Nigeria, being a man is how you are accepted into a family. And if you had no father, and if you were not accepted by your father, you were automatically ostracized. I knew these things, but there was nothing like touching and feeling it. And I didn't feel like my life itself would be meaningful if I didn't at least contribute my own part to a bigger, more nuanced debate about why we are where we are and what exactly we need to do if we wanted to do something about it.
When we talk about the issues facing Nigeria, we talk about decaying infrastructure, we might talk about rampant corruption. Where do you think the fault lines lie? Where do you think the main issues with Nigeria lie?
It's the structure. Nigeria is not a nation. Nigeria was not designed as a nation. Nigeria was designed as a business. It was a business of the British Empire, and it was designed as a funnel. So what will happen is that you will take resources from different parts of the country and you will take it out of the country to the British Empire. That system hasn't changed. What has changed is the empire has been replaced by a small, parasitic, unimaginative elite that has replicated itself over and over and over again. The business itself changed stakeholders, changed ownership, but the structure did not change. I must have confessed when I was younger and I would hear the likes of Wole Soyinka talk about restructuring. I was like, what are they talking about? They want to break the country. No, it's actually a conversation and a reworking of Nigeria for prosperity.
Well, let's look at Nigeria right now. Nigeria is officially in recession for the first time in, I think, more than a decade.
17 years.
What specifically would you like to see done?
Take away the power from the center. Diversify the power base of Nigeria. Become more inclusive, and local governments from local governance level, because people identify themselves first and foremost by their ethnic nationalities. I think that if you then design governance along those lines, where it comes from bottom up too, we might begin to see some changes. I mean, when I hear about the recession now, I feel a sense of resentment because I grew up in a recession. We just had a break, where things were turning around, and now we are back. But when we have these conversations, I also like to bring in people who are not necessarily Nigerian to take us away from a more insular corner, because some of these issues are global. Some of these issues are also human, because when you see that other people are also grappling either with similar issues, then you don't go into what I call the Yepa mode. I hate the Yepa mode. And that is, when you see pictures of tragedy in Nigeria, people have their head on their hand and then they go, Yepa. Yepa is helplessness. We can't stay helpless. I say to people all the time, there has to be a difference between embarrassment and shame. Embarrassment is external. So we're upset. People say this and that about Nigeria. That's not going to change anything. What we need to have is shame. Shame is internal. You yourself are embarrassed and unhappy. You yourself cannot accept the situation. So of course you are going to change it. If you're embarrassed, you externalize it. But if you're ashamed, you will fix it. And I want to build a generation of people who are too ashamed to accept Nigeria the way it is.